Game one. This should be something.
That ball's well hit to right. Did he get all of this one? Yes, he did. Hit on the button to center field. It's over his head. They are going to wave Rizzo. The throw to the plate is high and late, and the game is tied. Well hit, base hit into left field. Castro's around third. They're going to wave it. Here's the throw to the plate. He is out at the plate. That's in the air to center field. Fowler goes back. That ball is gone. Travis d'Arnaud. What a play by Murphy. He threw him out. And game one goes to the Mets.
This is Fields Auto Group Cubs pregame live.
After dropping game one of the National League Championship Series, Cubs look to even things up tonight when they send their ace, Jake Arrieta, to the mound at Citi Field. He'll be opposed by Mets hard-throwing rookie Noah Syndergaard. First pitch comes your way just after 7. Bells will set the table over the next 60 minutes right here on Comcast Sportsnet. Hello, welcome in. Cubs pregame live, presented by the Fields Auto Group, alongside Todd Hollandsworth. I'm David Kaplan. All right, Holly, Cubs in this situation 8 days ago. They dropped game one of the division series to the Cardinals, then able to bounce back with Kyle Hendricks on the hill. They win the next 3. They advance. Very important that they go through that same script again tonight.
Well, we'd love to see it happen. I mean, that's what Jake Arrieta presents, is that confidence that you have going into tonight's ball game. But again, this group, they have played with confidence all season long. I have not gotten a sense in one direction that this team is going to give us some panic, that they're going to start feeling the pressure of the moment, that being down is going to do anything to them. I think there's almost a separation between the two. Yeah, I'd love to believe, and I know all of us here in Chicago are kind of rallying around, well, we got Jake Arrieta going tonight, but I'm not convinced that's the story. These hitters, man, they had great at-bats last night from the 5th inning on. A lot of good things really started to happen there. I think they're going to start to swing the bats tonight, and they're going to play their game. Let's remember, this hasn't been just the Jake Arrieta show. I think back to the DS. We want a Hendricks start. We want a Hamill start. These things can happen as well. Arrieta represents winning in a lot of ways because he hasn't lost in a long time. But don't start to buy into the panic that kind of happens after you lose a ball game.
All right, let's go back to last night. Matt Harvey retired the first 12 batters he faced before the Cubs offense kicked in. But even after that, Cubs are hitting the ball hard against Harvey. Solid contact. There's the one that Castro blasted. There's the Baez base hit. They had one that hit the shoulder of Harvey. I mean, a rocket right back off him right there. So they were making solid contact.
Yep, on the fastball. Again, really good at bats, and that really started in that 5th inning. And that's why John Lester really, you talk about where that game started to kind of break itself down. John Lester really wanted to put up a goose egg in the bottom of that inning, and it didn't happen because this is what started to happen. The at-bats got better. They were getting on fastballs. They were putting runners on base. And again, that's the crack. I really think they're going to feed off that tonight. I would have almost expected us to come out a little slow offensively, not based on, guys in their, approaches at the plate or what Matt Harvey was doing, but by the fact that they were just off a lot of days since Tuesday leading into yesterday's ball game. So again, hitters, we're such routine. I mean, we're so routine oriented. I mean, the best thing you ask any hitter who's hot, does he want a day off? Absolutely not. Give him 150 days in a row, he'd play every one of them if he knew he was going to continue to swing a hot bat. And what you see when you get these pauses in the season and in the postseason sometimes is hitters, kind of have to warm back up to the series again.
All right, a big moment in last night's game. Cubs have tied it at 1. Javi Baez at the plate, Starlin Castro on second. Baez with a solid ground ball to the right, hard throwing. Yoenis Cespedes comes up gunning. d'Arnaud makes the tag on Castro, and that is a huge out.
Well, it's a huge out, but I certainly understand it where you're at in the lineup, at the bottom of the lineup, trying to get a run here. You're running on Yoenis Cespedes, one of the best arms in baseball. He's thrown out as many since he's gotten to the big leagues, actually more than everybody since he's gotten to the big leagues. There's a healthy respect for that arm, but you're trying to steal a run right there. Credit to d'Arnaud going out and getting the baseball right there, getting to the front of the plate and securing that tag. It was not an easy play on his part, but he made the play right there. 2 hands to the tag, makes it happen right there. Sure, we lost a little bit of momentum right there, but that was a risk that I thought was coming as soon as that ball was hit into left field.
All right, Lester got the loss again. He said he did not have his best stuff. You gave him a B-, C+ yesterday. He kept the Cubs in the ball game, but again, like he did against the Cardinals. Can't give up that first home run. It's just a deflating moment.
Well, it certainly is. And again, you knew Daniel Murphy was one of the hottest hitters in the world coming in. I mean, we talked about it. Everybody's talking about Daniel Murphy hit 3 home runs, 2 against Kershaw, 1 against Greinke coming into this ball game. And so, a mistake out of the plate to the hottest hitter can't happen. Falling behind hitters can't happen. Did that, I think it was 20 of 28 last night, had 8 3-ball counts. So again, not getting ahead of hitters, putting himself in position where he had to throw strikes. And you're absolutely right. There were times where he made great pitches, but there were times like this right here where action on the field shouldn't have been happening. 0-2 pitch to Curtis Granderson right there. That's an easy Barry pitch. That's a ball that if anything happens, the contact's on the ground and stays in the infield, and he's able to get it to the outfield.
All right, and there's the one that dented the apple out there in dead center field. For more on tonight's game, let's go out to Citi Field, and that's where third member of our team, Kelly Crow, is standing by. Casey?
Good evening, guys. Well, we're looking at even colder temperatures tonight at Citi Field. A little less windy, but still tough conditions for these players. But this is what October baseball is all about, right? And it is going to be a spectacular pitching matchup. Jake Arrieta, Noah Syndergaard. Of course, it was the Mets' young pitching that got the best of the Cubs' young hitting a night ago. But with Jake Arrieta being 10-1 following a Cubs loss, I think this team is still pretty confident in themselves. And of course, this is where they were in the NLCS against the Cardinals, down a game in this series after, of course, the opener, and David Ross is letting all the fans know, pump the brakes. There's no reason to panic quite yet.
They were better than us last night. The ball bounced their way when things happened, and that happens. When you've won as much as we have in the last 3 to 4 weeks, there's no reason to get down on yourselves. And all you're going to ask from your teammates is come in and do the best job you possibly can that day. I can sleep fine. This is a hard game, and there's a talented group on the other side that's doing some good things too. So let's go out there, let's fight tooth and nail, and lay your head down fine, win or lose.
So Arrieta it is for the Cubs, hoping to even things out here tonight before heading back to Wrigley for the next 3. The Cubs ace now with an extra day of rest. He's coming off his most subpar outing in basically 3 months. Got the win against the Cardinals, striking out 9, but allowed 4 runs and snapped his streak of 21 straight quality starts. It is certainly noted that the righty is nearing 244 innings, which is completely uncharted waters for him. And since we didn't see the sharpness from him last time out, Arrieta was asked how he's combating the physical and emotional challenges that he's facing at this point in the season.
Throughout the course of the day, you start to, contemplate, your routine and think about the game in different scenarios, and you start to, that heart rate starts to rise a little bit. You start to get that anxious energy, that excitement, and I think trying to find a way to relax and try and calm that down, before you get to the ballpark, because at that point in time, once your routine starts, it's kind of hard to keep the energy level low. So the physical toll really, hasn't bothered me at all. But I think that the mental side of it, and all the energy you burn leading up to the game, does have a little bit of effect. But having a couple of these under my belt now, I'm pretty confident going in that I'll be able to handle that pretty well.
Arrieta went on to say that in order to preserve energy and all that adrenaline he has going before these postseason starts, he's actually starting his routine a little bit later in the afternoon, because he says once he gets to the pen, about 5 to 10 pitches in, he is more than ready to go. So he and pitching coach Chris Bosio have kind of been working on ways to scale back the workload at this point in the season, but Arrieta remains very confident that he'll continue his dominance here tonight and even into November if need be. One other note, as you can see behind me, the Cubs not taking batting practice tonight, so maybe another way for them to preserve a little energy as well. Right, guys? Let's send it back to you in the studio.
Let's take a look at today's pitching matchup, brought to you by the great people at Apt Electronics, Appliances, and more in Glenview at apt.com. As Kelly mentioned, Jake Arrieta taking on Noah Syndergaard. Mets rookie 9-7 in the regular season with an ERA of 3.68. As for Arrieta, He got the win in Game 2 over the Cardinals, but it was his first non-quality start since way back in the month of June.
Well, right. You talk about the weather tonight, and I guess that's the one thing that, we're going to be honing in on, looking at his fastball command. It always unlocks his game. When he's got it, I've talked about it, he's able to exploit the middle of the plate, working off of that. He can challenge hitters out over the plate, still get a lot of great results for himself and certainly for the Cubs. A lot of bad contact, as I like to say. Jake can definitely do that tonight. But to me, I'm more curious just to see how the weather plays into this. I kind of noticed it last night. John Lester didn't throw a whole lot of breaking pitches. Matt Harvey's breaking pitch was inconsistent. We know how important that slider is to Jake Arrieta's repertoire and the ability to throw it for strikes. I'm real curious to see how this one goes tonight, along with Noah Syndergaard, because of the cold conditions. Usually what you hear from pitchers is that when the cold starts, the grip starts to go as well. And we talk about throwing, these breaking pitches and how important they're going to be in this series. Does the weather factor into the night?
Let's talk a little bit more about Jake, because we're used to, I remember in April, Ryan Dempster saying, man, you knew you could make certain pitches and get away with them because you can't hit the ball out. It's not as bitter cold as April. It's a different kind of cold. What's it like for a hitter?
Well, yeah, you're looking to square baseballs up. And again, that's the interesting thing about this ball game is that both these guys don't give up a whole lot of solid contact balls off the barrel. Now, I think our Cubs hitters are going to have a much better time against Syndergaard. He does throw the four-seam fastball, meaning his fastball is a lot more true. When you see it in the action in the zone, you're going to see velocity, but you're not going to see a lot of tilt. When we talk about Jake, everything out of his hand tilts one direction or the other. It's going to the left, it's going to the right. Even his two-seam fastball's got a lot of action on it. The last two guys he's hit where we've seen that pitch up and in, the Pirates hitters, the Cardinal hitters, that's that two-seam fastball that's exploding into the strike zone.
You think if I asked the really good starting pitchers, would you rather pitch in really cold temperatures like this because it's hard on hitters, or really warm conditions because you loosen up? What would they say?
Well, I think they would rather pitch in the cold conditions because, again, especially when you're talking about guys like Arrieta and certainly Syndergaard as well in this, with guys who have tons of velocity, they're able to attack the strike zone with number one. Hitters are not comfortable. Give you an example. If you get jammed your first at bat, you're feeling it your third at bat. If you hit one off the end of your bat, your first at bat, or you even foul one off bad, you're feeling it. There's constantly a reminder of how you're swinging the bat through the zone. And here's the other thing. Hitters, much like pitchers, even in a cold condition, have the ability to warm up. They're repetitiously continuing to throw. Where hitters get up, they get up to the box, they kind of try to get themselves as warm as they can, get through the at-bat, and then you typically are either running the bases or sitting back down again. So the hot and the cold kind of applies to the hitters just a little bit more, and that's really what happens. You don't maintain that, I feel warm, I feel loose tonight, my swings feel good, and I'm ready to roll. It's constantly trying to get yourself to that point when you have really cold conditions.
All right, let's move to the Mets. As for Syndergaard, he threw 17 pitches in one inning of relief in Game 5 against the Los Angeles Dodgers out west on Thursday in that deciding game. He also warmed up 3 times. He said he was sore on Friday. Terry Collins acknowledged it, said he felt better yesterday. Is any of that a reason for concern, especially with a rookie?
It's not a concern for me. Might be a concern for Noah Syndergaard because I want to see our boys get it done tonight. Well, listen, there's 2 stories here for me. The question is that. We've heard Terry Collins talk about this. He's looking for long, lengthy starts. He wants to get to Familia, his guy at the end of the ball game. We've talked about maybe some questions there in the middle of that Mets bullpen. Can you get to those? Now, you factor in Thursday, gets up 3 times in a ball game, comes in, pitches a meaningful inning in Game 5. Here we are a few days later. He's making his start on short rest. Is he ready to go? So the question is this. How are those 100 pitches used? Does he go 100 pitches? Do you get into that bullpen as well? And how does this all play out? I'm looking to what we did last night off the fastball against Harvey late in that ball game where we put together good at-bats, thinking we're going to get after him early.
Just can't have some of those 10-pitch innings. 7, 8, 9, 10 pitches. We saw that against Harvey. Got to grind like the Cubs did successfully during the year.
Well, and again, that's it's sometimes easier said than done. I understand your point, and it's certainly one that's recognized. But you get back to what Harvey was able to accomplish early in that ball game. He established all 3 pitches. He threw all 3 pitches for strikes. That's what I'm looking for tonight. Are guys falling behind hitters? Are guys putting themselves in hitter counts, 2-0, 2-1 situations where maybe you're sitting on that fastball just a little bit more? He leads with a fastball. Noah Syndergaard wants to throw it. Throws it 67% of the time. It's coming.
He'll challenge you.
He is going to challenge you. These guys do not like to walk hitters. It's how they go about their business. But the question is this. Can the Cubs, at the same time, get that pitch count moving in the right direction?
All right, we have to take our first time out of Cubs Pregame Live, presented by the Fields Auto Group. Joe Madden has made one change in his lineup for tonight's Game 2, but it does not involve Kyle Schwarber. We'll look back at the rookie slugger's amazing postseason when we come back.
Cubs Pregame Live is presented by Fields Auto Group. Fields matters because you matter. See Fields first. FieldsAuto.com.
You see the difference at Fields. It starts from the top, goes all the way through the organization.
I'm Dan Fields of the Fields Auto Group. We simply treat people the way we want to be treated.
When you walk into Fields, you know it's so comfortable and the warmth of the service with everyone. I've never experienced that in a dealership.
It includes our free loaners, free car washes, and cafes. It's all part of our Fields Matters program.
There's no reason to look anywhere else. It's a perfect situation for us.
Fields matters because you matter.
The Cubs have won their first home elimination playoff game in 99 years. To commemorate this historic event, BigTimeBats.com is releasing the Cubs NLCS Champions full-size bat. The bat will feature the historic celebration collage with the final scores of each game in the series and the historic game stats. The bat is limited and can be yours for only $129.95. Call BigTimeBats.com now at 1-866-280-BATS.
One thing we can rely on in this house is U-verse high-speed internet.
Incredibly reliable. And I'm changing my fantasy lineup as we speak.
U-verse high-speed internet has brought much-needed reliability to our lives.
With 99.9% reliability, it's one thing you can rely on. Get U-verse high-speed internet for $15 a month for 12 months with other qualifying service on one bill and a one-year term.
You know the rules. Eggs and sausage, hotcakes and butter. Morning fare, right? Well, McDonald's has thrown away those rules and opened a new world of possibilities. Now you're free to start enjoying the breakfast you love anytime you wish.
No way.
Yes way. Introducing McDonald's new all-day breakfast menu. Once you changed how you ate breakfast. It's time to start changing when.
See the full line of Frigidaire Professional products at Apt. Apt, pleasing people since 1936.
So the Cubs have the Schwarber ball encased in plexiglass. The Mets now have the apple with a bandage on it from where Travis d'Arnaud's home run hit it last night. Pretty cool. Tip the cap. That was a nice creative thing. Mets and Cubs resume the NLCS later tonight at Citi Field in New York. Let's check our ATI injury report. Cubs without shortstop Addison Russell for the NLCS after the shortstop suffered a hamstring injury in the Game 4 win over the Cardinals on Thursday, trying to stretch a ball into a triple. Reliever Jason Lott still working his way back from a shoulder injury that has kept him out of action since late August. All right, welcome back to Cubs Pregame Live, presented by the Fields Auto Group. That's Todd Hollinsworth. I'm David Kaplan. A year and a half ago, Kyle Schwarber was still a student at Indiana University. Then the Cubs made him the 4th overall selection of the 2014 draft. Some experts were surprised. This postseason, he's putting on a power display that has rarely been seen.
There's a drive to deep right. That ball is crushed. Look out in the Allegheny.
And Schwarber in the left center field. That ball's hit well. Schwarber will send one out. Kyle Schwarber with a solo shot. And Schwarber sends one high and deep, way back. And this ball is long gone.
Hit to right and hit pretty well. Hit really well, and that ball is gone. Kyle Schwarber with his 4th postseason home run.
With his home run last night, Schwarber became just the 5th player to hit 4 postseason home runs before turning 23. The others, you might have heard of them: Mantle, Harper, Cabrera, and Andruw Jones. All right, Joe Madden said the baseball looks like a beach ball to him right now. Do you remember that in your career?
You know, here's the thing. You know, and I know that many of us try to explain it to fans. It did happen a couple times. You're laughing at me over here.
No, I just Jeff Nelson in my ear just said, "Of course not."
Nelly's going to pay for it. He's behind the glass right now. But the point is this: I know that so that we understand at home, fans at home understand this. We say that it looks like a beach ball. To me, it's always been about timing. That's the best way to describe it. It's almost like slowing time down, where a lot of times you think the lights are brighter, the crowd is bigger, and that all this excitement. And you've heard me talk about it. There's just so much going on inside of a ball game where your emotions start to go up, your heart starts to beat a little bit harder, and you're trying to get that in check. And that's what kind of happens in the postseason. Right now, when you watch Kyle Schwarber, I almost feel like time stops. It's like you see the fastball out of the hand. We recognize the velocity when we see it. It looks like 95 to us, but it looks like there's this really long pause in between the pitch leaving his hand and the ball leaving the bat, and that's what you feel like as a hitter. Everything's on time. I can apply this to Daniel Murphy as well. Saw it last night. He's taking an early step. He's seeing the ball. Yeah, it looks like a beach ball, but everything's making sense in your world, and when a pitcher makes one mistake, usually a fastball when I think about Kyle right now, because he's getting to just about anybody's fastball, there's a very good chance he's going to make you pay for it.
Love the bat flip. It's not Jose Bautista. It's just, I got that one.
He's to the point where he's starting to expect it. It's a very good sign. He's starting to become very, very comfortable at the big league level. And again, you start to know when you get that little swagger and I got it. I mean, it took me about 50. I used to come out of the box running hard every time, even the big ones, because I didn't trust it, man. I didn't know if it was going to go. But when you see that from Kyle now, you know he gets it. Last night's home run was a great example of that. But this game right now is so slow to his eyes. And I'm telling you, if he gets challenged with a fastball tonight, don't put it past him and do it again.
All right, let's look at the Cubs lineup brought to you by Wrigleyville Sports. Fowler's in center, Schwarber's in left, Bryant at third, Rizzo at first, Castro at second, Coughlin is in right, Montero's catching, Baez is at short, Jake Arrieta in the 9-hole will pitch.
Well, certainly like the lineup. Cogs is the new addition to the lineup. Want to get him going, thinking about putting together some quality at-bats. He's been doing that all season long. He's been a big part of this. Good to see him get that opportunity. We all know that Soler doesn't like the cold all so much. Cogs gets the cold game.
He does.
Well, that's right. Yeah, that's true. So hopefully Cogs is on his game tonight, giving the Cubs some really, really good at-bats and extending those innings. I mean, that's just it. Cogs is a great example of what we've been talking about. Harvey went a lot longer than we thought he should have gone last night with the Cubs and their approach. Cogs is one of the big reasons why. He does this routinely, takes a lot of pitches, works the count, understands how to hit and foul off pitchers' pitches, and a lot of times that's really the key. So we'll see if he can't get going. But again, this is how it's typically played. The Cubs have averaged 3.67 runs per game, with 73% of that coming off the long ball. Well, Cogs has been part of that to some extent, and as this lineup starts to go and you're starting to realize we can't just live on the home runs. It's got to be different. We got to start to put some innings together and build some things here as well against this good young Mets staff.
Riddle me this, Batman. We have never batted in a major league game. Me, Nelly, anybody in here except for you. How difficult is it when it's 45 degrees and the wind is howling to get in the batter's box and hit? Is it noticeably tougher, or that's overrated?
Well, I think it can be a little bit overrated. I mean, you don't try to trick yourself into, thinking that it is freezing cold out here. I mean, you definitely feel it, but you're definitely doing your best to try to, dress for the conditions. Here's the key. It's staying loose. That's the thing that you always struggle with. You warm up and you go out before a baseball game, you get nice and warm, get those legs moving. Even when it's 38 degrees, you feel really good. It's when you start to stop. You start to stop in that baseball game, whether it's defensively, whether it's on the bench, your body cools back down again. It's warming it back up again to go up there and get those big at-bats and then try and catch it up with that velocity.
All right, Anthony Rizzo just 3 for 20 in the postseason. Did hit that big home run the other night that gave the Cubs the lead again. They ended up winning 6-4, but he's just not locked in at the plate. What are you seeing?
And here's the thing. They're not giving him a whole lot to hit. And part of this as a hitter, when you get to the level that Anthony has, and certainly respected throughout the game as one of the elite hitters out there, putting together quality at-bats, they're basically saying, we're not going to let you we're not going to let you beat us. I mean, he's that guy that you're circling in the lineup. And, you got to at times put it on the hitter himself, say, okay, he's got to have enough discipline not to swing at the pitcher's pitches. And if he tries to expand his strike zone, he's probably going to get himself out. But again, that's what you want to do. You're in that, that kind of mode where I want to contribute, I want to get my swing going, but they're not giving me a whole lot to hit, so maybe that's just it. Maybe a little less might be more moving forward, but we'll see how it plays out. He also doesn't want to let a few cookies go by, and that's the thing. You watch Harvey, you watch Syndergaard, there will be pitches out over the plate tonight for these guys to hit, but what comes along with it typically is a high velocity number.
All right, Dexter Fowler also 0 for 7 the last 2 games, but he still had a wonderful year.
Oh, well, he's had a fantastic year. I kind of go back to that last game, and I'm hoping Dexter kind of figures this out about himself. I kind of was whispering in your ear, and if you think back to Game 4, he had had a home run in that game, but it was his last at bat, right? So we talk about it that way. I'm wondering if his swing's getting a little bit big, and I kind of got that feeling, and it wasn't just Dexter, a few other hitters when we got those really, really nice hitting conditions in the DS at Wrigley Field. And I saw that, so I thought it was interesting. His first 3 at-bats in Game 4 were a fly ball to center field, a fly ball to right, a fly ball back to center field again. And again, he ultimately hit a home run, but as the leadoff hitter, he's got to absolutely make top priority getting on base. As Joe says all the time before every ball game, you go, we go. So get back on base, couple infield hits, maybe drop down a bunt, shoot one the other way, and realize that that's how it's got to be. Dexter hitting home runs is all fine and dandy, but again, we need him on base more than anything.
Yeah, you could almost see him trying to jerk it out.
Kind of what it felt like. Yeah, a little bit. I don't want to, go there. It's his swing, and he certainly knows what he's trying to do up there. But again, as a leadoff hitter and the way he's worked this year, when he's getting on base, when he's giving you that 2 for 4 with a walk, and he's getting on 2 and 3 times the ball game, we know the numbers. This team wins an awful lot.
Let's take a look at our Comcast Business, built for business by Comcast Business. Today we're looking at Daniel Murphy. He homered in 3 straight postseason games, including a first-inning rocket off John Lester last night. Second baseman also has at least 1 hit in each of his 6 postseason games, at least 1 RBI in 5 of those 6 games. Comcast Business, built for business. Your thoughts on Daniel Murphy?
He's in a great spot right now. I mean, he's the guy you're circling on their lineup now. He's not traditionally that guy. It makes a little bit more sense for us to say, yeah, well, Anthony Rizzo, yeah, we get that. Cespedes, I would say that's probably the guy that most people would feel most threatened by in the Mets lineup. But right now, Daniel Murphy has become that guy. His timing is great. When you watch his approach, his front foot's getting down early. He's getting himself into his hitting position. Typically, he's a spray hitter. But right now he's in a great spot where any mistake that's out over the plate, he is not missing it. So you have to pitch to him carefully. You've got to respect the power and certainly what he has done so far this postseason. And when you get unexpected results, you can't just dismiss it. And that's kind of what, where John said he felt like he got jumped a little bit right there. I mean, it's like, this isn't Daniel Murphy that's got 3 home runs against the back end of the Dodgers bullpen. I mean, he took 3 legitimate guys deep. Well, I should say 3 homers against 2, Kershaw twice, and Greinke once. I mean, that's getting somebody's attention. You're hitting some of the best pitching in our sport. Pitch this guy very carefully. Shouldn't have seen a cookie out over the plate so soon.
All right, here's Terry Collins' lineup card. Granderson leads things off. He's in right. Then it's David Wright at third. Murphy at second. Cespedes in center. Duda is at first tonight. Darno in center. Conforto in left. Flores at short. Noah Syndergaard will pitch.
Well, the numbers don't lie. This offense has been centered around Curtis Granderson and Daniel Murphy. Yoenis Cespedes does have to be respected. I don't care what he's hitting. But again, David Wright, 1 hit in the postseason so far. I mean, really, if you're going to talk about centering your attentions, those 2 lefties there at the top of that lineup have been getting most of the job done for the Mets as far as their offense goes. And a lot of that offense, that even those few extra hits that everybody else has gotten, they're hitting 176 as a team minus those 2 guys, was done in the game in which they scored 13 runs, which I believe was Game 2 of the DS versus the Dodgers. So a lot of it all happened in 1 game.
Travis d'Arnaud, that home run that he hit last night, that ball was crushed.
Absolutely, but again, mistake out over the plate. That's really all it was. d'Arnaud, you got to remember, this guy, and I've watched him over his first few years, he's really starting to develop as a hitter. But he loves to use, kind of like David Wright, use center field and go the other way. Think earlier in the ballgame, got a pitch off the plate and attack. Wasn't even a strike and was able to dump it in right field, but that's his mindset. He pulls only when you send him the message that you're going to go in there an awful lot that day. That's what he's looking for, but more times than not, he's looking to use the middle of the field and go the other way. But pound for pound, as much power as just about anybody on that Mets team.
He does. I mean, he's a good catcher. You think about the trade that they made to get him. R.A. Dickey coming off a Cy Young year.
Sure.
Good pitcher.
Knuckleballer.
Not an ace. Not, oh, my God, we got to give anything up. And they got Syndergaard and Travis d'Arnaud.
Huge, absolutely huge. And sometimes those deals that get made, you sit back and you talk about them and how they transform your organization. Sometimes it's the trades that don't happen. But, I mean, again, look at our Cubs team. I mean, we could talk about that in a lot of different ways. The guy going tonight fell into our lap with a trade that I think most of us thought, is this more about Pedro Strop or is this more about Jake Arrieta?
Right. At the time of the trade, it's easy now, but you go back and read some of the articles. I read the one on our postgame a week ago. There's a Yahoo Sports article where they said, yeah, Pedro Strop's a serviceable arm, and if Jake Arrieta can even be serviceable at the back end of the rotation, the Cubs made a good trade. he's only going to probably be the Cy Young winner, or certainly top 2 in the votes.
Agreed.
Curtis Granderson continues to come through in the clutch. The Granny man, a pair of RBIs last night, and one of them enormous. There's an 0-2 pitch, and he knocks one to center, and that brings in the go-ahead run, and that was enormous.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Curtis Granderson has really changed his game. You think back to his Yankee days, it was very much, pull-oriented, pulled everything, looked to hit a lot of home runs, strike out an awful lot. I give him a ton of credit. Signed a big deal with the Mets. I was real curious to see what his game was going to become, because he had really become, the short porch at Yankee Stadium is what kind of defined him. And now he's their leadoff hitter, giving them the best at-bats that they've had in this postseason, and had another fantastic year for him. So he has rechanged his game. This is actually the Curtis Granderson that you saw with the Tigers before he got to the Yankees, and he's now kind of back doing it again. Has to be respected at the top of that lineup, knows how to drive in big runs, and again, uses the whole field again.
As Holly mentioned, David Wright, 1 for 19 with 8 strikeouts this postseason. He was out a lot with spinal stenosis, but Mets manager Terry Collins said his third baseman is not pressing.
I spent 20 minutes with him last night when the game was over. There's no pressures. They're not getting to him. And I will tell you, this is David Wright. Okay? He said to me last night, I said, "How you doing?" He said, "Okay." I said, "Are you stiff?" He says, "Terry, it was 35 degrees out there. We're all stiff." I said, "No, how are you?" He said, "I'm fine." He said, "Now I suck, but I'm fine." And that's him. So are they getting to him? No. He's a baseball player.
That sounds like a veteran who knows how to handle the situation. Did you ever have that type of moment in your career?
Oh, I don't know how many. Nelly, leave me alone. He's chilling in my ear.
If people could hear what Nelly's saying, Holly,
it's a whole nother show out there for everybody to get wind of. There's no doubt about it. You end up in these situations all the time. You get down on yourself. But again, that's just the key. Postseason baseball is it's an interesting dynamic. You have the season, and we talk about how long it is, playing every day, going through your ups and downs. You have to really have short-term memory in the postseason when you're putting together
a game of failure.
There's no doubt about it, but again, you have to be able to forget yesterday. You can't remember the 1 for 19. You got to throw it out the window. You got to look like today's the first day of the postseason when you're kind of going through those struggles. David Wright's been through these wars a million times. I'll tell you what, even at 1 for 19, I'm sure most Mets fans would tell you, I'd rather have his presence in that lineup with 1 for 19 than any other answer you'd probably give me.
All right, still to come on this edition of Cubs Pregame Live, presented by the great people at the Fields Auto Group. We will head back to Citi Field and visit Sun-Times Cubs beat writer, our friend Gordon Wittenmeyer. Plus, we'll introduce you to one local artist who's trying to bring Kyle Schwarber's flair for the dramatic to the canvas.
Some say it's Lou Malnati's pizza that made Chicago famous. But most can't say anything at all. It's just that good. Lou Malnati's Pizzeria.
Still haven't tried FanDuel's one-week fantasy football leagues? Over 1 million fans have already won money. Choose a league. They start at $1. Pick your team. Done. Winners get paid the next day, and there's no season-long commitment. FanDuel pays out $75 million a week. Get off the sidelines and get some. Try FanDuel today. We'll match your first deposit up to $200. Love it or your money back. Guaranteed. Go to FanDuel.com, enter promo code YARDAGE2. That's YARDAGE2.
Ice cream. Kitten. Cartoons. Please.
BMO Harris Mobile Cash. Just point and scan. Leave your card at home.
Money.
I think someone's been practicing.
BMO Harris Bank. We're here to...
There is cash all around you. People are nearby who want to pay for the things you don't use. Wallapop makes it simple to sell anything. Just download the free app. Snap a picture of your item, and it's instantly listed locally. Free. Wallapop users have profiles and receive reviews, so you'll always know just who you're dealing with. Make some space and earn some cash. Start selling. Download the free Wallapop app today.
Millions
Hundreds of fans have made the show their rock holiday tradition. Trans-Siberian Orchestra, the live debut of the Ghost of Christmas Eve, the best of TSO, presented by Hallmark Channel. December 28th, 2 shows at Allstate Arena. Buy your tickets now at livenation.com. Don't miss the Ghost of Christmas Eve, the best of TSO. Order the new album, Letters from the Labyrinth, available at Amazon.com.
It's been over 3 weeks since the Cubs lost consecutive games. Their last losing streak came September 23 through 26, when they lost once to the Brewers, twice to the Pirates. Game 2 of the NLCS comes your way top of the hour. Jake Arrieta against Noah Syndergaard. After facing Greinke and Kershaw in the first round, that's manager Terry Collins no stranger to facing great pitching.
Terry, as you said, you got a couple really good pitchers you're facing here, and you beat a couple really good pitchers in L.A. Is there anything about the mentality or the approach to having beaten those two guys that can carry over against these two guys?
Well, the only mentality is, we got to do it again.
Love that answer. Welcome back to Cubs Pregame Live, presented by the Fields Auto Group. He's Todd Hollinsworth. I'm David Kaplan. Artist John Hanley, who's really, really talented, found himself with no job and clients back in the 80s when nearly all art studios closed. So he decided to combine his passion of sports with art. Now athletes are asking to be painted, and fans are pining for his latest pieces. It has become the perfect marriage.
I had to find my passion and what I wanted to do, and sports kind of got me there. I love painting baseball. I'm very passionate about baseball. As much as I love the Cubs, I love the game of baseball. With Schwarber, I wanted to get his swing just because he's got a beautiful swing. So I did a lot of research on photos, and I found a couple that I liked, but as you can see on here, I don't like the face on there. I like the body pose. I wanted to get the catcher out of there, and I found another one with a head that would match. So I drew my sketch, mixed together, the head on a different body, and then did my color study and put it down on board and started painting. Just adding, just little blue flecks in here and there. It just kind of picks up the colors from the helmet. I mean, I know the uniform is gray, but there's always colors bouncing around everywhere. I don't stay in lines. I wouldn't say my work is super tight, but it's not super loose either. It's kind of a mix of the two. People love to decorate, their basements, their office, home. I've got collectors from all over the country. I did this painting for his foundation to help raise money. We did 144 prints off of the painting. We made over $10,000, and the original is available if anybody wants it. The White Sox, I had done this painting already for them as a season ticket holder gift, and then I said, why don't you give it to Konerko for his retirement? Because it's just sitting in my house. I thought it'd be a good idea, and he really liked it. And then both the Yankees and the Tigers called me to do 3 paintings for Derek Jeter. It's surreal. I mean, just to see these guys getting my artwork, it's unbelievable. It's a lot of fun. The Jeter one was really exciting. Because, he's a surefire Hall of Famer. And that's just something I'll never forget.
Gordon Wittenmeyer does a wonderful job covering the Cubs for the Chicago Sun-Times. He joins us now from Citi Field. Gordon, let's talk about last night first, then look at this game. What was your takeaway from last night? Because Cubs hit the ball hard. It was just a lot of atom balls.
Well, yeah, sort of. I mean, the first 4 innings, there wasn't really much of anything. 12 up, 12 down, and half the guys struck out. So after that, yeah, they made some adjustments. You got to give them a lot of credit for that, especially young guys, especially Kyle Schwarber. But there wasn't a whole lot going on for 4 innings. After that, yeah, they made it a game, and John Lester kept them in it. Sort of, but they couldn't do anything about a pitcher as good as Matt Harvey, and that's what it boiled down to.
It seems like a formula, Gordon, for Terry Collins and the Mets is to get long, lengthy starts, bridging the gap to Familia. Is there a hole there in that bullpen right now? Familia comes on, gets a 4-out save last night, 6-out save in Game 5 in the DS. Is that the game plan? Is he trying not to use his bullpen right now?
Well, theoretically, there's a hole in that bullpen, but I don't know about you. I haven't seen it yet because they haven't let it show itself. For the reasons you just said. So we'll find out. The fact of the matter is they have the kind of starting pitching that if they can score any runs at all, they can take a big enough lead into that soft spot of the bullpen if indeed that soft spot exists. So the key is for the Cubs to at least keep it close if they can get the starting pitcher out of there. If not, take a lead. Now tonight with Jake Arrieta pitching, obviously that's your best shot.
Gordon, let's talk about tonight's game. You've got a guy at Syndergaard who doesn't have full rest but only pitched 1 inning, but he also got up 3 times the other night and warmed up, and Terry Collins said the next day he was a little bit sore, yet he's going out there tonight in cold conditions against the Cubs ace. Talk to me about the Cubs lineup versus Syndergaard.
Well, it's basically the same lineup. Well, all they did is they took Soler out, who really has a tough time with the cold weather. Plus, he's a right-hander on a really hard throw on Syndergaard. So you put Coughlin in there, who's a little more of a contact guy, left-hander, maybe walks into one if you get lucky. So that's really the only change. The rest of it, they're going to go with what got him here, and we'll see if that's good enough. As far as Syndergaard goes, they were really monitoring him coming out of that Dodgers series for the reasons you just said. But he pointed out he didn't throw a lot of pitches any of those times he got up to warm up, and he went to them and told him how good he felt yesterday. And going into this, he appears to be ready and rested well enough to go.
All right, Gordon, appreciate the time. Look forward to seeing you back at Wrigley. Keep up the great work.
All right, guys, take care.
All right. Cubs with some good defense last night. Schwarber made a really nice catch in left field. They did their job. They did what they had to do.
Well, certainly that's always going to be key. I mean, you think of Jake going tonight, that there's probably going to be even less solid contact. So, again, think about this. I always look at it this way, action towards the lines. You see that a lot with Jake. So our corner defenders, Bryant, you got Anthony over at first base, our corner outfielders as well. A lot of times you'll see a lot of action towards those corners. So, and sometimes a lot of it coming in. So as an outfielder, that would be your first line of thought. Bad contact, balls coming in, cold night. I'm not expecting a lot of balls to be squared up. Let's make sure that we're not giving away action coming forward as opposed to going back, because the probability is that more action will be in front of you than behind you. So key going into tonight, Arrieta, I expect him to be on his game as he has been all season long. I mean, it's been a very, very long time since that man took a road loss all the way back to May. So a lot riding on this start tonight, although I still won't overplay it. I mean, this is a 7-game series. I know that we expect Jake to go out and dominate in tonight's ball game. But again, you're not in panic mode when you're in a 7-game series.
All right, plus manager Terry Collins turned to his guy Familia for a 4-out save last night in Game 1. Look, you cannot continue to run this guy out there for 2 innings at a time. We'll take a quick time out. Holly will address that. We'll have his keys to the game and a whole lot more. Cubs Pregame Live getting you set for Cubs and Mets in New York in Game 2. Be right back.
There's really only one place where the carpets are always red and the stars are everywhere you look. There's no place like Hollywood. Hollywood Casino, Aurora, and Joliet.
It's that time of year. There's going to be a lot that scares you. Replacing your windows shouldn't be one of them.
Call 866 for Feldco.
Right now, get 2 windows for the price of 1, plus no money down and no interest until 2017.
Hurry, this treat and 2 windows for the price of 1 ends soon. Call now.
For quality windows, siding, and doors, call 866 for Feldco.
Beat the rush for winter tires to get big savings at Discount Tire. Buy now and get a $50 Visa prepaid card on any set of winter tires purchased with your Discount Tire credit card. Thank you, Discount Tire.
This Cubs injury report is brought to you by ATI Physical Therapy. Taking physical therapy to a higher level. Ask your doctor about ATI Physical Therapy. Get there.
This is Land Rover Lake Bluff, where you can shop all the Land Rover models and learn from the Land Rover experts what makes a Land Rover and Range Rover so luxurious, so capable, so safe, so extraordinary. Take a drive around town. Experience our off-road adventure track. This is Land Rover Lake Bluff, the award-winning, people-pleasing Land Rover Center for sales and service beyond the extraordinary. Minutes away in Canals Auto Park, Route 41.
At White Castle, the crave is now anything, anytime. It's fresh cracked eggs for dinner, jalapeno cheese sliders for breakfast, and Belgian waffles whenever. The crave is more than breakfast all day and all night. It's anything all day and all night. Because the crave knows no limits. It flips the expected, never follows a curfew, and sure as heck doesn't have a 9 to 5. The crave is anything on the menu, anytime we're open. White Castle. The crave is a powerful thing. All your favorite Belgian waffles are back for good, day and night.
Comcast Sportsnet, your home for Chicago Cubs baseball.
He's not pretty much overwhelmed by anything, and I don't think he takes himself too seriously. Have you all seen that YouTube video with him dancing with his was it high school group? He's like part of the Temptations or the Spinners or the Four Tops. He's like the lead dancer. But I loved that. I mean, that speaks to everything for me. The fact that he'd have the nerve to be out front like that and going through this whole routine, front guy, I think that speaks a lot of him walking out here and, last night and being very comfortable and making 2 great plays, hitting a ball 459 feet, whatever. He's just very comfortable in his own skin.
That is Cubs skipper Joe Maddon talking about his young slugging star, Kyle Schwarber. Welcome back to Cubs Pregame Live. Let's send you back out to Citi Field, where Kelly Krull is standing by. Kelly?
Thanks a lot, guys. Now joined by Ken and David Off, a baseball columnist for the New York Post. And Ken, let's go ahead and start with Jake Arrieta. I know the Mets have faced him in the past, but after seeing, of course, his dominance now throughout the second half, what do you think the game plan is for them to try and just get to him?
Yeah, I think the Mets' trademark is power and patience. So they have some guys who are going to hit the home run. Daniel Murphy is on a roll.
That's an understatement.
Yes. And then try to draw some walks. And the Mets just won a series because they overcame Clayton Kershaw and Zach Greinke. So John Lester and Jake Arrieta therefore feel more manageable.
To them, just another big name, but it doesn't really matter. It's about them and what they're doing at the plate right now.
Yeah, well, there's obviously respect for Jake Arrieta, but I think there is confidence there. Especially, let's face it, Arrieta was not as good in his last start against St. Louis. You start to wonder whether he's getting tired.
Isn't that funny? Kind of showed a human-like aspect Jake Arrieta did. But Noah Syndergaard on the other side now, and he's a guy the Cubs did face earlier this season, but looks a lot different to them now, I'm sure. And he was a guy that just came out of relief, if you will, a couple days ago. His start, now he is back in the rotation. But what do you think we'll see from him tonight? Is there an innings limit, or will he basically be free to go?
I think there's not a hard limit, Kelly, but they'll be monitoring him closely. You mentioned he pitched in relief. That was 3 days ago, Thursday. 17 pitches out of the bullpen, but also he warmed up 4 separate times. So that'll fatigue you a little bit. So there will be an eye on him, definitely.
And those pitches when he came in, mind you, I don't know that we saw any fall below like 88. Is that really what you guys have been seeing from him, consistently be able to deliver like that all the time?
Yeah, his fastball is 98, 99, 100. He is a stud.
Can place it anywhere.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Okay, and one other guy I know the people back in Chicago always like to hear about is Curtis Granderson, and he seems as though he's really come through in a lot of clutch moments for this team this year. Will you describe also just what he's meant in terms of a clubhouse guy to the Mets?
Yeah, Curtis Granderson is just a positive guy. It doesn't matter if he's 0 for 40 or 30 for 40. You could pop a paper bag in front of his face, and he would still smile. He wouldn't blink. He's a very positive clubhouse presence, and arguably the team's MVP this year.
Very much. What other, if any, themes do you see coming into tonight playing a big role in what could be a very shifting game? Because I know the Cubs don't want to go back being down 0-2 and having just lost, of course, a Lester start and an Arrieta start.
Right. Obviously the weather, and both teams are cold weather teams, so they're even in that regard. And it is a bigger park. We saw last night some balls into the alleys as opposed to Wrigley, so I think the Mets are not known as a speedy team, but they are a fundamentally sound team, so they can capitalize on that.
Absolutely. Ken mentioned the weather, again, even chillier tonight. He obviously knows how to dress for it here in New York, even offered me his gloves. Such a nice guy.
New York City Marathon gloves.
Ken, thank you as always for your time.
Thanks, Kelly.
There you guys go. Back to you in the studio.
All right, thank you very much, Kelly. All right, let's talk about the bullpen. As we were going to break, I said let's talk about Familia. Obviously, they want to get him the ball as much as they can late in the game. We saw 6-out save the other night in the decider in the DS, 4-out save last night. How big an Achilles heel is the underbelly of that bullpen?
Well, I mean, again, this is really talking about confidence in bullpen usage, less about Familia. I mean, Familia's been great, and you certainly understand bridging the gap from one, somebody who's pitched great, gives you a great start to your great closer. Exploding fastball right there. It's the best pitch you threw last night. I get all of that, but at the same time, you're in a 7-game series and you're going to have to use other guys. I mean, you had a 2-run lead, and if you're asking for 1 out from Tyler Clippard, how do you not ask for that out? What I'm getting at is that the longer you go with bullpen guys, when you don't use them, it is human nature to start to doubt. You haven't been used properly. You haven't been used in your role. If you end up having to use them, and I understand Terry's, listen, we'd love to get 7-8 innings from our starter and go right to Familia every one of these ball games that we've got a chance at winning. But if you don't use that bullpen and you don't go to those guys, you're going to be in a position where you're going to have to lean on them in a crucial point of the game or a crucial game moving down the line where you haven't had them. And it's going to matter most because, again, it's going to be in the middle of the series.
All right, Holly, time 28. Then if you find yourself with a big lead or a big deficit, go, I'm going to guys just because we hope to win a World Series. I got to get guys in like Joe did the other day, being able to get Trevor Cahill in there. They used 4 or 5 different
Travis
guys.
Wood, Clayton Richard as well, right. So you have to at some point. I mean, again, if you're going to lean on it, the longer a relief pitcher goes without pitching, the more I start to worry about them because, again, much like every baseball player I talk about, me as a former player, the guys in the rotation in their routines, you talk about the guys in bullpen and usage in a role to fill. Are you going to get yourself into a position where we can exploit that? And that's what I'm hoping actually happens tonight because I don't know how predictable Syndergaard is going to be pitching on, well, somewhat of short rest. But again, I also wonder about the 100 pitches and how long he's actually going to be able to go because the Cubs have been one of the best teams in all of baseball. They've seen more pitches when guys make starts against them than anybody in all of baseball. So that's something that we can target and say, listen, if we can make that happen, I felt like last night's ball game was an admission of that. I understand the importance of winning a baseball game and going out there and get those 4, but if you're not going to bring Clippard in with nobody on and 2 outs in the 8th inning to get you 1 out to bridge the gap to Familia,
putting doubt in his mind.
You're putting doubt in that player's mind. It's not saying that it's not ultimately going to go away, but you're creating a hurdle for yourself that you're going to have to get over. All
right, we have to take our final timeout. We come back. We'll pick our key performers, and we'll get Holly Time 28's keys to tonight's game. As Joe Madden, the Cubs, which return to Wrigley, the NLCS deadlocked at 1 apiece with a win tonight over Noah Syndergaard and the Mets.
The Cubs manager.
The Cubs have won their first home elimination playoff game in 99 years. To commemorate this historic event, BigTimeBats.com is releasing the Cubs NLDS Champions full-size bat. The bat will feature the historic celebration collage with the final scores of each game in the series and the historic game stats. The bat is limited and can be yours for only $129.95. Call BigTimeBats.com now at 1-866-280-BATS.
One thing we can rely on in this house is U-verse high-speed internet.
Incredibly reliable. And I'm changing my fantasy lineup as we speak.
U-verse high-speed internet has brought much-needed reliability to our lives.
With 99.9% reliability, it's one thing you can rely on. Get U-verse high-speed internet for $15 a month for 12 months with other qualifying service on one bill and a 1-year term.
See the full line of Frigidaire Professional products at Apt. Apt, pleasing people since 1936.
Introducing 72-Hour Rewind from DirecTV. When you connect your DirecTV DVR to the internet, you can instantly go back in time and watch shows that aired up to 3 days ago. Catch up on shows you might have missed, even if you didn't record them. Don't just watch TV. DirecTV.
To some of us, home improvement isn't a chore. It's a privilege and a satisfying part of owning your own home. The tools and supplies you choose need to be able to deliver the same quality that you demand of the work you do. At Blaine's Farm and Fleet, we understand, and we want to help you achieve the best job possible. For your next home repair or home improvement project, we'd like to help you make your life better with genuine value. From Blaine's Farm and Fleet.
If anything, this young group early on was too hard on themselves. You know, they expected greatness because they've had it their whole lives. And there's the major leagues, it's hard. Guys, the other side gets paid too. And I think that's some of the lessons they learned about just turning the page on day to day.
Welcome back. Cap and Holly with you. After tonight's game, the series shifts to Chicago for games 3 and 4 and hopefully a game 5 on Thursday. Today, Joe Madden asked what was the most difficult adjustment he had to make coming to the city of Chicago.
Driving to the ballpark early on. You know, I'm going down Clark Street. I had to put up with the traffic a little bit because I chose not to take Lakeshore Drive. I wanted to drive through the city. I just wanted to. Plus, I had the 72 Chevelle there, and to shift it was much more fun to shift it on Clark as opposed to putting it in 5th gear on Lakeshore. So that was a big part of it. In the beginning, I thought to myself, the biggest difference was driving to the ballpark. But once you walk in the door, it became baseball again. So that was like very, very similar.
All right, love that guy. Time for our Fields Auto Group keys to tonight's game. Here's Holly.
All right, fastball command / secondary pitches right off the top, and this is kind of what I'm expecting in tonight's ball game. So watch both starters. Jake Arrieta, we talked about it coming out of that last start. His command just off a little bit. Bit of a pedestrian start for Jake Arrieta, but we talk about his command and off a lot, and that fastball command being the key to his success. I'm going to go ahead and apply it to Noah Syndergaard as well. And the reason I'm doing this is because of the conditions tonight. I do concern myself with the grip just to see where these guys are at, where their breaking pitches are based on last night, knowing that tonight's probably going to be even colder. So do you see these guys continue to attack the strike zone with only fastballs, knowing that the secondary stuff might just not be there? And we'll see how it ultimately plays itself out, but absolutely going to be key. So watch how that goes. Watch the grip. See if the curveball is being bounced by both guys. All in the Familia. Well, I went a little bit Bill Melton right there on everybody. Here's the deal. Well, listen, there's going to be an opportunity at some point for the Cubs to do some serious damage to the middle of that bullpen, and I really think it's a spot where damage can be done. I'm hoping it does happen that way, and I think tonight might set itself up that way. I pair that with Syndergaard and the uncertainty I have with the length of his start and the potential to go long. It's certainly what Terry Collins is shooting for. He wants a long, lengthy start from Syndergaard, but based on the last time he pitched, based on the conditions tonight, and based on what we know about Cubs hitters, I think there's a good shot that we see a lot more of Tyler Clippard, Addison Reed coming out of that bullpen, and I think that's going to be a weak spot. See if the Cubs can't get some offense there. Offensive chemistry. Here's one thing that's been talked about just a little bit around town, and we know how this offense rolls. 73% of our runs this postseason have come from the long ball. We got to think game 2 here. Yeah, we had, 2 safety squeezes, moving guys around, hitting behind runners. And we did see some of this last night, and I know we lined out a few times, but that's going to have to play. Schwarber going 459. That happens every now and again, and I know the man's locked in, but to think that we're going to hit 3 or 4 home runs in tonight's ball game and generate all that offense is probably not going to happen that way. We're going to have to get a little bit more creative, string a few hits together, and maybe even a few walks as well.
All right, time for our key performers. I won last night. I get to go first. Chris Bryant.
I like it. It's a nice pick. He's the only guy in the lineup tonight with a home run against Noah Syndergaard. I'm going Starlin Castro.
Right, put Syndergaard deep in Syndergaard's Major League debut at Wrigley. Thank you for watching Cubs Pregame Live, presented by the Fields Auto Group. Holly and I back after the game. As soon as it ends, you flip here for all the best coverage. Have a great night and go Cubs. See ya.
You see the difference at Fields. It starts from the top, goes all the way through the organization.
I'm Dan Fields of the Fields Auto Group. We simply treat people the way we want to be treated.
When you walk into Fields, you know it's so comfortable and the warmth of the service with everyone. I've never experienced that in a dealership.
It includes our free loaners, free car washes, and cafes. It's all part of our Fields Matters program.
There's no reason to look anywhere else. It's a perfect situation for us.
Fields Matters because you matter.
The Chicago Cubs are in the postseason, and Wrigleyville Sports is here to handle all of your postseason needs. Many playoff items in stock now, including caps, t-shirts, and jerseys, just like your Chicago Cubs wear on the field. Mission October has begun, so don't miss out. Supplies are limited. Free shipping available on qualifying orders. Order online now at WrigleyvilleSports.com and pick up in our Bensonville office or at our store across from Wrigley Field.
Whether you're driving 60 or 160, when one of these starts glowing, you pay attention. Too bad our bodies don't come with dashboard lights to avoid problems down the road.
Well, a 5-minute health-aware test from Edward Elmhurst Health can give you a heads up. They're a quick, easy way to assess your health status, identify risks, and help you steer clear of trouble ahead.
It's like an engine check for people.
Edward Elmhurst Health, healthy driven.
The best things in life are free, but you can give them to the birds and bees.
There's really only one place where the carpets are always red and the stars are everywhere you look. There's no place like Hollywood. Hollywood Casino, Aurora, and Joliet.
Wait, is that it? I think that's it. This is Crystal. Her dream is to be a roller derby girl.